That lead up always gets me.
It says on here it's Global Hand Washing Day. Is that like new because of the pandemic, or was it always that?
Oh, I don't know. That seems like pandemic propaganda.
A little bit. It's like, hey, it's a good day to think about washing your hands, by the way. Enough about that. Enough about real world problems. Let's go back to Albion in the Middle Ages. Europe via Japan's lens on it. And
I mean, speaking of real world problems, Ben isn't with us.
Yeah, I think he's safely out of that war zone.
Yeah,
So,
he's not with us right now. He is currently still with us as a human being on Earth.
yeah, I think he's just sleeping in or something. So he might join us next week, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
You watch any baseball? I didn't watch any baseball this week, Paul.
No, just Kabaddi. Catching up on those championships.
Catching up on Kabaddi. All right. Fair enough, yeah.
No.
Now there's some stressful baseball going on, so a little burnt. I spent like 4 out of the 6 hours that was this baseball game today watching it, and then the Mariners lost, so it was nice. It was great. But it was an historically long game, so at least you get that. At least you get
great.
Like, this was the most scoreless innings ever, so we get to enjoy that. 17, baby. Nothing for 17 innings.
Yeah. Oh, like when you hear about some of those cricket games or whatever that last weeks.
Like, we're gonna have to postpone this one just to get some sleep. Yeah. They didn't quite do that, but it was getting there. Another game that started airing like around the 9th-ish inning was almost over by the time this one finally ended. So it was pretty fun. But yeah, total sweep. Houston moves on. And I just bring it up because Japan loves baseball historically, you know.
Yeah.
And that's where Berserk comes from. That's where Mira lived and drew.
Do you think there was ever a cross-promotional thing where Guts is like hitting some dingers
with his sword or something?
Or even just a bat? I don't know. Just anything.
Just like, we're going to need some power. And then it's like Guts is there. And then probably for Japanese baseball league, like the JBL or whatever. That probably happened on TV or something like that. Big baseball nation over there. So, but hey, Shirka, right? She's right here. She's got little like golems, I guess. They look kind of like Koroks to me, or like, what's that guy from Wind Waker, the little guy?
Oh my god, I don't remember.
Got a leaf face and plays a violin or something.
I don't remember the name. Yep, you're right.
I think it starts with an M, but anyway,
very similar.
It's like that. But yeah, so we got a nice little color drawing here of Shirka, and then we got Dropey training. He's hitting some sticks, and Soko's cooking there in the background.
I do like
the
intro, like, colored pages of these.
Yeah,
they're cool.
Just a little more splash on this. And then this was really about those trolls. We're gonna get into some trolls action. Which is perfect for Halloween, you know, like Ernest Scared Stupid cemented trolls as part of the Halloween pantheon.
I've been thinking of revisiting that one particularly. Yeah,
it's kind of okay.
For Halloween.
Yeah.
Milk, right?
It's milk, not Miak, which Ernest got wrong.
Yeah.
And my cats just said, you know what? This Evangelion tape has been here too long. I'm going to eat it.
I'm going to destroy it. Yeah.
Hopefully that's not ruining anything in the background. But
all right. Speaking of eating things, trolls, man. So where we
got a human hand.
Where we last left off, they were warned, like, you don't want to go up there. It ain't bandits you got to worry about. It's trolls. And it was kind of one of those, like, dun-dun moments or whatever to end off the last volume. So, it doesn't start off with trolls right away because they still got to travel up north. What it starts off with is Isidro stealing from, I guess, like a villager that's just hanging out in the woods harvesting some apples or whatever. And there's like this moment where the guy takes pity on him after catching up with him and just being like, here, kid, like, have an apple or have one of the apples. Like, I know what it's like or whatever.
But hey, you're screwing up my orchard here. You're ruining my business kind of thing.
Yeah, but like, I get it. You're just a kid on the road. Like, here, have some food. And he's like, he's playing it up, saying like, pretending like he's going to be sad or whatever. And he just fucking drops him when he comes in for a hug.
Yeah, it's a pretty dirty move.
I found it really funny. Yeah, but more importantly, maybe, he throws the apple with such force it explodes on the dude's head, which seems like, oh, that probably murdered that man. That looked like
he's unconscious now or something anyway. There's little, like, I don't know, kanji over his head, so maybe he's still there, dazed. But yeah, I kind of felt bad for this guy because he got destroyed. Just trying to run a business or something. And he's so pissed after he gets betrayed. It's like, you won't get away with this, you brat. I'll toss you in the river. He's just, he's you so dick. Mad. I can't believe you did that. I was being nice. But it's
it's pretty good, though. He goes, is a drop, and then drops him. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to, like, just find out how the hell he does it, because it's like a suplex or something, but he's a kid. So he jumps up like in the air and then drops him on his neck or something. It's really
some
weird.
Real like Ura business here. Yeah, I don't even know if he gets a like trip in. He just kind of flings all of his weight into his midsection and somehow breaks his balance. Yeah.
And then explodes an apple on his head. Yo, in the baseball game, Guts is obviously the hitter or whatever. Isidro is the pitcher.
He would be a pretty good pitcher, yeah. Throwing is his strong suit. As we kind of get into here, they go into like his ideal weapons a little bit over the course of this tale.
A like training montage kind of happens right after this or something like that, where he's training with Guts. Just doing the standard like, stop trying to hit me and hit me sort of thing, where he's just swinging around and Guts is kind of dodging all his attacks and then bonks him on the head afterwards. It's pretty good. But yes, we got some cool training tips. Oh
yeah, there's that little bit where he tries. Does he switch hands here or something? Is the move? He sort of pulls something that Guts is at least like, you know what, that was at least a good idea. You know, like he switches to his right hand for this upward thrust or something, but still gets bopped. But then it's like, you really were on a roll there. What? Really? And then, kind of, you can't fight like me. I'm a berserker. I'm a heavy, I'm a tank.
I'm a big dude with a big sword. Like, my thing is that I'm going to hit you once and kill you.
And like, that's it for you. You're like high DPS or whatever. That's your thing. So they're he's trying to think it through. And then he wants him to kind of puzzle it out himself. Like, it's not like, I'm just not going to tell you, like, you should just keep workshopping it and then it'll be yours kind of thing.
Yeah, his whole thing is that you should use the fact that you're tiny to your advantage, because people usually aren't used to fighting low or whatever with low fighters, because everybody's up, I guess. So the fact that he's like smaller is to its advantage, and he should
lean into that. There's definitely Guts kind of getting a little friendlier with the world here,
with everybody
group.
Yeah, kind of, because we also do get the moment where he goes hanging out with Serpico, gathering firewood. And he's like, what are you, like, why are we really here, sort of thing. Serpico's like, yeah, I'm gonna murder you as soon as this is done. Like, they still don't like each other.
If Farnese dies or something, like, it's like this, she's hung up on you, and if this falls apart, like, that'll be it with us kind of thing. But I guess that's a little bit later. We still have just Isidro wishing to be the best.
That like no one ever was even. Yeah.
And then we get, I I have that right? Farnese? It's been a while since I've talked about her.
Yep.
Kind of her and Elaine, as I like to call her.
Yeah.
In this state. But Casca.
Sure. Yeah, that feels better, actually, because it feels like a different character. So sure, that works.
Yeah, she's still not all the way back, but them kind of starting to develop a kinship or something a little bit. And that'll kind of play out more over the course of this, too. Like Farnese actually caring about something, which is nice. But trolls, there's a troll arm, and the brand starts bleeding a little bit. And then we get, the Serpico exchange here. To be perfectly frank, I'm thinking how nice it would be if you died.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, everybody's having a good time here.
It sounds a little bit worse than it actually is. Because, yes, you're right. It is more the fact that he just wants to, like, be away from all this. And the fact that he's here or whatever is why Farnese is obsessed with him.
Yeah, it's kind of the read on just, like, this is an extremely dangerous journey. Like, you're extremely dangerous company, so I'd rather we weren't here, sort of thing. So yeah, but that's what Farnese's doing, and he's loyal, so that's how it's gonna go.
I think he also doesn't like the fact that he's seen a change in her. Like maybe it's scaring him a bit. She's acting like a kind of a different person. Just in general.
I guess so. Yeah. Like I'm trying to think where that would be at this point. Like, is it Farnese's kind of... Because last we kind of checked in with her, she felt really useless and stupid, kind of.
Well, she told him that I'm a burden or whatever. Like, I suck, basically. That was our last conversation they had between each other last volume.
So I think over the course of this tale with the trolls, she's gonna get a little backbone.
A little bit, yeah.
Hopefully on a good path here. But yeah, the ladies got grabbed by a troll. That happened.
As it usually does.
And
thankfully, Isidro's around.
Yeah, he's first on the scene, so he's going to throw some pebbles. And he beans him right in the back of the head. Like, this is a good hit, but it's not enough for trolls.
True.
Like, these are pretty savage trolls, especially some of the stuff they get up to, but something about the word trolls and trolls in general just feels really whimsical and, like, Tolkien-ish or something.
So it's interesting because I thought so too. And yes, this volume and kind of like we find out a little bit that like, yeah, there's a reason why that fantasy stuff and like fairy tales exist. It's because it is like we find out later on kind of about like consciousness and the demon world and all that sort of stuff. And fairy tales are kind of like a part of that. So it makes sense that like trolls, pixies, fairies, and stuff exist in this realm as well as
like the ethereal realm or whatever. They kind of bleed over.
It's kind of interesting.
World. Yeah. Actually, yeah, this whole tale is gonna kind of look at the underpinnings of how magic and like that kind of more fantastical part of the universe works in here. Which is I found neat, cool. So
yeah.
But
for now, we got ugly ass troll facing down. One helpless woman. Well, they're both helpless right now because Farnese kind of doesn't have her spine anymore, so she's also a damsel in her own way.
I don't see a good blade or anything on her either.
That's like, the thing. Like she's completely useless right now. They're both damsels and a child. It's a trope.
A gutsy child. In fact, overconfident in this moment. I think it's, coming off that sparring match with Guts. It's just like, okay, I got this. I can do this.
Totally.
Like, I think I cracked the code on it. So he's going to rush in there. But then from afar, we see they're being spied on by a mage. And her fairy accompaniment is saying, uh-oh, now they're going to die. So,
yep.
No, just hold up. We'll take a look at this. We're not going to intervene just yet.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
But, I'm not afraid. And then he rushes in there.
It is very quickly not okay.
Yeah, he kind of gets cuffed by this axe here, and manages to block the blow though, but is sent flying. So yeah.
I mean, it seems like a lot of force to block, so sure.
And I guess kind of like Ernest Scared Stupid, a lot of emphasis on the nose here, like a really knobby, gross nose on these trolls. So, and this is like 8 years after that movie, if not like a decade or more. So Mira probably pulling from that,
probably
for visual inspiration.
It is weird
not a lot of
how
troll media. Yeah,
it is weird how much it looks like that troll. Yeah, in a bunch of different ways. This is definitely much scarier, though. Those teeth are very gnashy.
These things are pretty vicious. Yeah.
Okay,
I
mean, it like cuts
thing?
down a tree while trying to hit them. Like, they're pretty powerful trolls.
Yeah, he hides behind a tree, gets obliterated there, and then is about to like get a killing blow on him when berries hit it in the nose and it flips out and runs away.
Yep.
We last saw Shirka kind of observing the birth of the hawk or whatever, right? Like that was
observing the battle, I
cameo.
think.
Yeah.
That where we got introduced to the mini boss squad, the goon squad or whatever. I think she was kind of like watching the battle take place from a hill or something.
And here she's fully kind of obscuring her face a la a dark mage or something.
Yeah.
But oh, okay, yeah. There's actually a whole mess of trolls here. It's not just the one they were dealing with. So
yeah, I forgot about this. Trolls hunt in packs is something we learn here.
Kind of like raptors. Like if you see one, you're already dead. No, I don't know. It's bad. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. But luckily we have a mage here, and we all know because we've played video games before, which were surely inspired by this in some ways, that it's going to be fine because mages are good at AoE things. So we're going to take care of this part.
She kind of sets up like a ward or like a circle of safety here. Some salt, I imagine, other little trinkets, and just stay in here.
I'm trying to discern what it is. It's like a rope or something that she kind of throws around them in a circle.
And then kind of places, I don't know, charms or tokens or something at various points around it.
Yeah.
So, solid magic. That makes sense. That'll keep you safe.
A magic ritual, we find out from Puck, who's curious about what's going on.
And then we have this sing-songy fairy. What is her fairy's name? I
can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember.
They'll probably be introduced after this this bit here. Oh, there's like fully kind of a pentagram in the air when the trolls try to strike it. Well, I guess it's a right side up star. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Star of David. It's
Star
not
of David.
the Star of David. It is.
It's not. It's not.
It's
6
a 5 point.
Yeah. It's a 5 point star.
The 5 point star.
But yeah, so don't panic. Don't leave the circle. You'll be fine. And then, sure enough, magic. So.
Is this our real first time seeing magic that isn't like demon dark?
Oh yeah, that's not like just demons wreaking havoc with their craziness.
Like, what were some other instances of actual magic happening besides? And I'm not talking about like miracles of like, oh, all those arrows and like Griffith didn't get hit at all, like a miracle sort of thing. I mean, like
that still seems demonic or something.
I'm casting a fireball type magic.
I'm trying to. I mean, like Puck is just kind of inherently a little bit magical, like the healing and stuff, a little bit, but that's pretty light.
But they're not spell. Like the thing I'm getting at is yes, the barrier
it's not really
thing,
spell casting. It's more just like I have some powder that'll heal you or whatever.
The barrier thing is super cool, especially the way it's drawn with like kind of sparking like lightning around it, showing like that they were hit by a force of some sort when you're trying to get to it. It's particularly the next page where she takes like some hair and blows it, and it turns into these giant gusts that are like throwing them away from them. That's just like, I think this might be like the first time we're seeing actual magic spells being like cast in some sort of way.
Yeah, I'm trying to comb through my memory here, but it's been mostly warring, like,
Yeah.
weird powers of sorts, like breathing fire and stuff. But it's all the evil side. We've only seen dark magic, like god breath or whatever. That
You're right. That might be the first time then, is those. You're right. Because the others seem to be just kind of like extraordinary skills of some sort, or like happenstance.
Wild's got a big mouth or something. Yeah, that guy's a goat.
We've seen a lot of transformations, but this is the first time I think we've seen like wind spells or something, like wind activate.
Yeah, like this, the elementals are kind of invoked here. Your big elements that I don't think anyone else has really talked on that thus far.
Right.
I don't know what Skull Knight's doing. I don't know if any of that counts as magic. He can kind of fly, but he's just super powerful. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Sure.
Speed. Yeah.
Anyways, I just
kind of thinking
cool.
about like Rosaline and stuff and her weird thing, but again, it's like fairy adjacent and also mostly transformations. Like these kids are now bees or whatever.
Yeah.
So no, this is definitely more RPG magic.
Like a mage has joined the party type thing has happened here. Yeah.
And then she's talking some shade at Isidro's sword play. And,
which, of course, Isidro gets mad and then goes and grabs her tits.
Because that's how it goes. That's how it's revealed that, wait a minute, you're actually young. You're not an old hag. Yeah. And then Shirka's kind of pissed. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
What are you
doing? Go figure.
A kid? It's like, but you're also a kid, and I'm going to bonk you with my staff. Like my
staff.
Magic wand or whatever.
Yeah.
Bump.
And turn you into a monkey or something. Like, it's weird.
Yeah. He
like breaks his
acts like a monkey. Yeah. I can't tell if he like actually has little whiskers and like a weird button nose or whatever.
No.
Or if it's just...
He was mentally transformed into a monkey, so that's how they're showing it.
Yeah.
She like is fucking with his mind or whatever. Which is why after she bonks him,
name
he has the
for him.
Yeah.
Monkichi by So pretty good.
Yeah. There's a lot. So now that there's 2 fairies or pixies or whatever, there are a lot of times that there's the small text just happening in every panel. I found myself scrolling in a lot in this volume to read what they're saying to each other or saying in general.
Oh, kind of muttering like between Puck and others. Or
yeah.
Fairies saying catty things. Yeah, that happens a lot.
That happens a lot more now. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing crazy after that, really. Finally, Guts is on the scene or whatever, and we kind of get a moment where she senses a weird force with those 2 around each other.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I don't know if I really noticed this before. Like, she's sort of struck that what is it? Yeah, that they saw the pentagram. Like, normally that would have just not been detected by normal people, but it's like, oh, these people are kind of tuned in or something. Unless it's just this area is that steeped in the Ethereum or whatever, not the shitty Bitcoin thing.
Sure.
But yeah, the ethereal realm.
Yeah.
But yeah, these 2 branded ones are causing some weird vibes, I guess, for witches.
I like that she says it's like they're attracting distortion. It's like that's kind of an interesting perspective that like only somebody tuned into the ethereal realm would even be able to like give us as kind of, because as like a viewer, we're seeing everything from everybody else's point of view, which they're all human, and we're finally getting some like a little more insight from somebody that knows about like the afterlife and cosmic stuff or whatever. So it's like, oh yeah, it's like they have a real weird presence about them.
Yeah, like you shouldn't be able to see this stuff, but they can. And then we get a little beat where Casca is still afraid of Guts, and I guess that's kind of the root of why Farnese and her are getting along. Is she is
the new caretaker
behind her and spending time with her instead of that scary dude.
Yep.
Which, sure, he's kind of scary. But at least he has other people around to keep the wolf in check or whatever. But they'll get more into that too, I think, right? Like,
I think so.
Once we meet Shirka's boss, I think she has some insight into that.
I don't remember. I think so, though. Yeah, I think we get a little more about that. They meet up with a hurt traveler after all of this, and he's the one that kind of apparently has been through these woods before because he believes in like fairies and witches and stuff. He can see the fairies or whatever, and believes in all that stuff. So he is excited when he sees a witch, and he's kind of like, I don't know, the weird like catalyst for us as the viewer and them to kind of like, I don't know what's going on a little bit more.
Old man Morgan here, yeah, from Enoch
Morgan.
Village.
Yeah.
He's kind of found, kind of bruised up under a tree or whatever. But yeah, he was on a quest to find that witch that probably lives out there. Just a half beat before that, I'm kind of noticing that Serpico is basically saying what I was saying about like witches and a troll. This sounds like a fairy tale. It's kind of silly. Like I've seen a lot of monsters in the last couple weeks or whatever with you guys, but that still sounds a little bit much. But he's just thinking out loud, I guess. But yeah, like we said, it's that kind of realm bleeding into this space.
Yeah.
Longtime legends of fairies, witches, and the like. So they're off to find the wizard, I guess, of the forest. Sorry.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. That's where Morgan is also. He's looking for the witch that he says or purports that he found years and years ago when he was a child, to basically beg her for help in taking care of the troll problem because his village is constantly being attacked by trolls.
Raided a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's kind of a neat little like a narrative harmony or something with his story and Isidro that's going to develop over the course of this. So yeah, it's kind of going to pay off. But yeah.
And the timeline kind of matches up too. That like they just started emerging from the darkness a few years ago in the first night of winter or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, that's when everything started going to shit. So sure, that makes sense. So yeah, just again, kind of that world of that thing that we saw happen has been a world altering event where even here they just started getting troll attacks out of nowhere. Yeah, no, it's just kind of interesting. And we find the trolls are coming in, stealing their supplies, and doing, of course, because this is Berserk, the thing where they are taking children and raping women, because women in this fucking series are just around to be raped, it seems.
Oh, man, yeah, that was really, like I was hoping with more whimsical fare we would get away from some of that, but it's like, no, these are rapey trolls. It's like, yeah, I guess I should have expected that.
Oh, you mean the rape trolls? It's like, why are they called that? Well,
you'll find out. Yeah, before we get to that, there is this kind of barrier that they thoughtlessly breach, but they are able to just walk through it, which is kind of crazy to Shirka. This stuff here really reminded me of like a side quest I failed in Dragon's Dogma, and so it was a real bummer. like it just was like, oh man, this is great stuff, but like I tried to do this and I missed my window for it in that game, because it's like there's a witch's house in the forest, there's a golem, but you can only go there before you bring the Hydra's head to the city, and I didn't know that. So I went further along in the story and then like found this other place like 20 hours later, and it's like, what is this? Why isn't this doing anything? Why can't I go back here? And it's like, yeah, you should have done that like way long at the beginning of the game. It's like, pfft. So man. This stuff looks great though. I would have loved to hang out at the witch's house.
It's kind of funny too, because
rare ingredients that you can only get there for potions. But
the lead up to this happening is them literally just saying, it said that there's a witch that lives deep in this woods, obscured by trees and people have been searching for weeks and we never found it. Oh, you mean that right there? Yeah, it's right there. Like, they literally stumble upon it instantly, and it's so good.
Yeah, for some reason they're able to kind of pierce this barrier that's kind of illusion magic or something around it. And no, it's just right here. Like,
yeah,
or like
right here.
Zelda or something. It's like, yeah, you got to go right, up, left, up, or else you'll just find
follow
yourself
the
at
music.
the beginning. You got to follow the music through the forest. It's just like, whatever. We're magic or something.
Yeah, I don't want to, like, we're not going to
causality is leading us here. We have to find it.
We're not going to talk about it when they actually save, but the reason why is because they were invited by the witch. Like, she
wants
them in
to be there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we find that out, like, in pages and pages from now, but I'll just tell you now that that's why. So, because it's just kind of a thing. Yeah. But that's
the hell's
how they
this
find it.
stupid-looking stone statue?
I mean, he's right. There is a
Isidro.
stone statue that looks like a Dilbert comic or something. Like, it's pretty dumb
Or
looking.
kind of a, like, Totoro proportions or something. It's a big clay golem with goofy, like, symbols and stuff and moss growing on him.
I didn't realize it was clay until they kind of say it. I thought it was, like, pure stone, like a boulder or something at first.
Oh, okay. I guess with golems, I just assume it's something malleable like that. But,
Right.
yeah, if it looks uniform like this thing. Isidro keeps saying he's got a nice afro, but I don't really see it. Like, I guess he's got moss on his head, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Guts does what Guts does and steps in and chops it. But,
Chops its arms off or whatever, yeah.
It's a golem, so it can glom those back on. He loses both arms, but then they just kind of grow back.
It's pretty cool.
So,
you see, like, it climb up his leg from the earth or whatever to, like, reform. It's actually
like
kind of a
liquid
cool
metal, if you will.
Yeah.
But it's clay.
Yeah, it's neat.
And then we get some great Elaine stuff here. Oh! Eek! So,
Now,
And there's
coming
a bunch
live
of them.
from the field is our correspondent, Elaine. Elaine, what do you have to say? Oh! Thank you,
Yeah, it's
Elaine.
got a U at the end. So, and yeah, I guess with Guts trying to fight that big one, he's kind of separated from the group a little bit as this like swarm of little ones has popped up.
Yeah.
Like, I love these things. I think they look great, but they are not really threatening in appearance. So yeah,
The snow-covered demons, like the snowmen demons from the beginning of like 2 volumes ago, looked more threatening, but they have
they had
same vibe.
angrier faces to them. These look kind of just clueless, like kind
They're
of like
dopey.
what is it?
They look like gingerbread men.
Or like a Miyazaki robot or something. There's something kind of like not especially sinister about him. And there's dialogue to that effect. Should I be scared or just laugh? Says Isidro. And there's like a half laugh, half panic on his face. So yeah, we're in for a weird battle here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's they're pretty weird. And to be frank, it doesn't seem like they do any. The big one obviously is like kind of trying to attack. It's like actually reaching for Guts or like doing stuff. But these ones, I'm just kind of scrolling through the panels, are just kind of like walking around. They're not doing anything.
Yeah, like there's one that's like half as big as Isidro and just kind of bumps into him, and then you get both of the ladies looking kind of like, what?
It's like trying to hug him or something. Like, it's weird.
Or like, I'm trying to like bounce her, but I'm really small. Like, I'm gonna kind of push you out of here. You're not supposed to be here, kind of thing. They're like ineffective barriers. So when do they make the discovery?
Actually,
Okay, so
Elaine does. Excuse you. The best character.
Yeah. No, Casca's still got something going on. So Shirka is observing this from the house. We got a little flash of Griffith here for some reason. I guess it's just like, is this all happening because of that thing? Like the big Millennium Falcon?
The Millennium Falcon. Yep.
In the universe or whatever that happened with that.
Yeah.
Smash him with sticks.
Yep. And then like
okay.
Casca like finds this weird like little figurine or something after one of them gets their head bashed in by Farnese. Farnese doesn't have a sword anymore at all, or like what the hell is going on? Because I see it, I think, on her hip in that picture, but she doesn't use it anymore.
I feel like at this point in this battle, they've discovered that blunt is better. Forget swords, it's easier to smash them with sticks, says Isidro, and then they switch to kind of blunt weapons or whatever. So she's got a cooking pot and bashes one, and then, Elaine kind of pounces on this weird little gingerbread man that's at the center of it.
It's cute. I kind of want one for like my desk or something. I bet.
Yeah, actually, much like our Korok question at the beginning, they're kind of cute little, like, I don't know, forest.
They actually look like gingerbread men, honestly, with like a
cool spirals. Head. Yeah. But this is the discovery they need, that if you have that thing, then the rest of it can't regenerate. So now Guts is off to the races, revealing that and punching it with his metal hand, like in one combo. It's pretty good. And then you get it's a drop kick. Boof.
Yep. Is a drop kick followed up by the smack
Dimension style.
Elf Dimension style. It's pretty good. I like that they all kind of do their own. They have like a personality in how they fight. So yeah, Guts doing kind of the weird slash and punch combo is like, yeah, that makes sense. Isidro doing his little thing followed up by the puck attack is great. And then oh my god, what's his name now?
Serpico kind of seems to deduce where it probably would be and just pierces it with his rapier, like in one move.
This like sword fighting, like fencing prowess or something, the dexterity kill. It's super cool. I really like this part quite a bit, actually. But yeah, this is where, after they find out what's going on, the witch tells, or we get the appearance here that something,
the unseen mistress, says like, hey, there's no point wasting all these golems, like they're just going to destroy them now, so just pause it, like we'll just let them in,
just bring them in.
They've passed the test or whatever, I guess. Then Shirka's there. I knew it, the witch. But Morgan's like, oh, thank God, there really is a witch out here. I wasn't crazy. I'm gonna need help. So yeah. Let's go have a look at the witch.
For dinner or whatever.
Yeah. And then there's all sorts of cool, ingredients and jars and things witches should have in this wood home.
It's too bad Ben isn't here. I don't know if you know this about Ben. He is obsessed with forest stuff and druidy stuff and like tree homes, and that is like so stupidly his shtick. He is so into that stuff that I bet he would love talking about this sort of thing for hours. So it's too bad he's not here, but also maybe good.
Well, yeah. I mean, Radagast is a great wizard. We got a keychain with him, like a key holder. And he's kind of a forest guy. And my only D&D character is a druid. So I'm halfway there, I guess. I like this kind of stuff. But again, super bitter. The Dragon's Dogma quest didn't pan out, so just bitter.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is Shirka. She's still in training. And then we get Ivalera, I'm going to say, is our fairy buddy.
Yeah, like Evalera or something.
Evalera is better. Let's go with that.
It's basically like Valerie if you put an A at the end and an I at the beginning. Is how it's spelled anyway. So who knows?
What the hell is Isidro doing? He's been such a dweeb.
What?
Like just this kind of taunting thing that's really like shaking Shirka during this introduction here. Like it's like her trying to say something, cut to Isidro like picking his nose with a beaker or something.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I guess also Puck has managed to get a jar on his head in the kind of the enthusiastic run up for a hug with Ivalera or whatever.
I didn't actually realize at first what that was. The first time I read it, I was like, why the fuck does he have a salt shaker? You're right, it's Puck with a bowl on his head.
Yeah, he's like suffocating or something back there. Wait, Okay, so yeah, Gut stops in, bonks both of them, probably cracks that jar, so Puck is fine. And yeah, now we're on to meet Florina, like the real mansion owner. So yeah.
The real witch, yeah. The full-blown witch, the level 99.
Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she has an apprentice or whatever. Like she's a master witch. Oh, Flora. Sorry, I had it wrong. It's just Flora. I added syllables.
That makes sense. Reason. That is the correct name for this type of person, I would say.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, kind of a cool, I don't know, would you call it like surprise or something, where Shirke is actually not the witch. She's kind of just training right now. Like she knows some tricks, but she's not actually the witch of the forest or whatever. It's like an actual
junior
person.
witch. She hasn't gone on her like big initiation mission yet or whatever.
She hasn't taken her SATs yet or whatever.
No, but that's about to happen. Yeah. But yeah, there's this kind of neat bit where like Farnese is really worried because all the heretics or whatever she's been killing, but then like Flora just kind of reads that and it's just like, hey, don't worry, like my folks weren't among those whose lives you took. It's like, okay. Yeah. Well, good, I guess.
And she even says, and even if they were, it was the people that were following you, not you personally, that did it, or whatever.
Yeah, like, your religion's evil, not you. It's like, all right, well, yeah.
Yep.
Actually, they're going to get into some interesting dimensions of the religious, like, because, you know, these druidy, like, kind of Wiccan type people and, like, the kind of crossover and how they're just interpreting things differently. That's going to come up once we get to the village. But, okay.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to talk about lore-wise and stuff in this volume. It's actually a hefty one. Yeah. So she kind of goes around the room. She remembers oh my god, I don't remember his name, the old man. Morgan. She remembers him as a kid. She even says like, oh, you're the one I gave that medicine to. You were just like a child or whatever.
Yeah, kind of reading this, it was almost like, oh, like, you know, that video game Brothers, where like two brothers head off into the forest to find medicine for their ailing dad or whatever it was. Like, this was kind of like, oh, Morgan did that when he was a kid. Like, he went on a quest like that and met a magic person who wasn't a scary spider lady or whatever. She was just a good witch. So it's good. But she's out of the game. She's too old to tussle anymore with trolls. So she's gonna kind of promote Shirka to go on her first major gig or whatever. Like
to field witch. You're a witch in the field.
You're a field agent. Yeah. Yeah. Put your training into practice, and she's super nervous about it. And yeah, Isidro is pretty good at needling her nerves. You chicken? And then, like she's got this kind of decorum or whatever to her. She's also probably been like basically a hermit. Like her and Flora just been living out here for her whole life. So this is her like dealing with people for the first time. But oh right. What's the promise here? It's like talismans to help you kind of deal with the brands, right? Is what's on offer for doing this quest, because inherently they're not really looking for troll hunting missions or whatever. That's not really what Guts is doing. But if this is going to benefit the whole thing and keep Casca safe and keep them all like in a good spot, maybe he can finally get some sleep and stuff.
Shirke is supposed to help the village with the troll problem, and they are being tasked with looking over to make sure she doesn't fucking die doing it, because she's a child and not powerful. So of course she's like I'm not asking you to do this just for like the goodness in your hearts or whatever. I have like, this is an exchange. I have something that will help you for the rest of your journey as well, and it's the fact that maybe you want to sleep every now and then. Like, that would be probably pretty cool. But yeah, she can produce talismans that will reduce the amount of draw that the brands give to demonic energies or whatever. Seems really good. That seems really good. It's interesting because apparently she can't just get rid of the brands. Getting rid of that is like apparently way past her in the intensity of the power it has, but she can like reduce how powerful it is, I guess.
Or reduce the evil spirits it can draw. So I almost wonder if it's like instead of crazy boss monsters all the time, it's going to be low level stuff.
It'll be like ghost rats, essentially. The cellar rat.
Yeah, stuff like Serpico and Farnese can take care of, and you guys can sleep in shifts or something maybe. Yeah, that's my read on it. But yeah, he's really struck by like her just knowing about the brand, I guess, is kind of what tickles his ear a little bit.
And it apparently will protect against becoming possessed, which seems probably pretty important when you're one of the strongest people around.
and this wolf venom monster thing is getting closer every time, kind of thing. So that's his little flash here, and we keep getting little flashbacks of Casca's worst time or whatever. Like, so I'm gonna flip the page here. And she's still, this is like the second time this volume this has happened where like Casca goes, "Ooh," and like sees him and then goes, "Ooh,"
and like hides behind. Yeah, it's pretty good.
So yeah, I guess that still kind of burns him a bit. So it's like, okay, if we can make this whole situation better, negotiation complete. Smile. The deal is struck, and now
the quest has been accepted. You clicked OK on after the giant text scroll that you probably didn't read if you're playing a video game or an MMO specifically.
So yeah, now they can rest easy at this house because it's protected also. So it's time for dinner, yay! And all these golems are serving food bowls. It's awesome. I actually missed that the first time I looked at it. Yeah.
Yep.
So great. They're doing the dishes and stuff.
This setting kind of reminds me of Hook. When they're having the big food meal fight
like with the
thing.
Lost Boys or whatever.
Yeah, just the fact that it's in like the forest and this weird like I don't know. Like
I think for me this was kind of like this is sort of like the Fellowship being formed at like the elves' place or whatever. Like this is Elrond's table or something. Like this is similar to that for me. Or honestly, like playing. Like fully playing some Fire Emblem for the first time recently. This is sort of like, oh, my band is coming together with like all of our different roles. This is a
fantasy trope for sure, where like all the different classes are sitting at a table, maybe like uneasy race tensions or something kind of being put aside over ale and stories. This is super tropey. Yeah, it's a good time. I'm trying to
think how many we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Old Man Morgan and Serpico, and then 2 elves, or fairies, so kind of 9.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm stretching.
There's a bunch of them. Yeah. Okay, are you ready to talk about some heady stuff about the way of the world and ethereal beings? Because this is where all of this starts to get dumped, is this table conversation.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, I was kind of wondering when they get into this. But you take the lead on it, I guess. And
I'm going to try. Okay.
Puzzle it. A lot of text on the page here.
So they ask about what is this Astral World or whatever, because finally they're talking with somebody that kind of knows what the hell's going on.
And isn't just being cryptic about causality and like,
she's actually saying.
And then just runs away. Yeah.
Yeah. No. She's not just
you have one of those things, huh? It's like, what? And then leaves. And it's like, okay, well, great.
She's not like mentally screaming in some demonic voice and then riding off into the night or whatever afterwards. Yeah. No, they're having a conversation. All right. So there is a trinity of things in which the world is like a Venn diagram apparently, and there's overlapping parts between them. So, okay, I'll just read what she says, and then we'll talk about. One is known commonly as the world of spirits, the astral world. The other is the soul of the origin of all existence, the world of idea.
Okay.
It's a little complicated. It comes down to ghosts, blah, blah, blah. those are ethereal bodies that your ethereal body is receiving. So apparently, when you exist, you kind of exist in the real world or whatever. There's like a ghost world and something that like binds them, I guess, which is the world of ideas or something. It's super fucking weird and hard to understand any of this shit. But the idea right now is that there's ways where you can kind of pierce the veil so that you can exist as yourself in each version of you in these different worlds or whatever. And what mages do is that they kind of exist in the astral world and ask for like help from ethereal beings or whatever to like do stuff or whatever in the physical one, I think is kind of how it goes. And we see that way later on when she's casting a spell and she's kind of like using the powers of elementals that exist in other realms to like feed her the power.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the point of overlap is this interstice, right?
The interstice,
which I feel like I've seen that concept before. Like I'm thinking of like Dark Tower or something has like these thinnies. There's like thin zones in the world that like bleed over between worlds.
If you ever play Dragon Age, there's a lot of that too. Called the Fade, I think is what it's called, is kind of like that, the astral realm, and there's points where like that veil is either non-existent or thin. Yeah. And then I'm also just thinking of the South Park episodes, the Imagination Land like trilogy. Yeah. It's kind of like the stuff of fables and lore and whatever. Like Superman is real because we imagined him and then he exists here. This is sort of the fables and legends thing. Those things become real in the ethereal, I guess. They're living legends. And then you get this kind of picture here with like unicorns and like almost a like German looking like a troll with his hammer and like a hat or whatever, like a gnome or something. Yeah,
weird squid things, and then our evil knobby nose trolls. So there's a little disparity between it and our physical reality. Ghosts also, I suppose.
Yeah. So you know what? I'll just read like what it has here, and we can talk more about it if there's more. So Magi have learned and inherited practice of releasing ethereal bodies from the confines of our physical world and delve into the astral world. In the relatively shallow layer of the astral world, known as the interstice, various ethereal beings exist as living legends. Even the scenery is mostly derived from ethereal forms of our world, so there is little disparity between it and our physical reality. So that is kind of like the transitional point or whatever between the physical normal world and
real and imagined,
and like the ethereal world or whatever. That's kind of the gradient or whatever. Thus the dead who did not realize they died or who left the world regretfully often wander there. Eventually nearly all become aware of their own death or become unable to maintain their form of their ethereal bodies and pass away from this layer. Then in the deep layer of the astral world, the scenery comes to look unimaginably different from the physical world. There exist astral entities with whom ethereal bodies of mere humans cannot compare. Angels, demons, gods of polytheism. So yeah, it's a well.
Stuff gets weirder the deeper you go or the further away you get from our physical reality, I guess. But I think you can go there because we're going to see some weird stuff later. And I'm assuming when the kind of eclipse happened, that was sort of full tilt, like that world punching in to this
coming through. Or like that was the bottom of the well, essentially, that we're going down. Like that area.
Or some of the stuff Griffith saw, right? Don't they talk about the god of the abyss or something?
They do. Here? So deeper still, realms people reach according to their own karma. Maybe those places called heaven and hell exist. If you dive too deep, you become unable to return, so no one has ever gone that far while alive. Further still, in the abyss, perhaps. So
hey, if there's a candidate that's going to go there and survive, it might be our boy here.
It's probably Guts, but like straight up, Griffith is that person, right? That like was reborn, probably.
Yeah, but he's no longer alive in the conventional sense, right?
Right.
So And whatever the deal is with Skull Knight, maybe we'll never know. I don't know if Mira told us, but it's nice to wonder about that guy.
Right.
But yeah. Okay, wait. Oh yeah, okay. So this next one, the Magic Stone chapter, like, okay, so we end with like that. This is her explaining the rules of magic. This next issue, I started reading in like the waiting room at the optometrist.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then just like flip the page and it's just like sexy bath time. It's like, God, jeez, like, Mira, what are you doing? Because it was just like, oh, whatever. Like, we're just chilling in the witch's house and we're gonna go on this adventure. I didn't like guess there'd be. We're having this like scented bath with Farnese and Casca or whatever. It was a bit.
And then Isidro kind of being a creeper about it. Like,
I'm a little kid. I can get away with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
A child's privilege. And tries to bust in.
Yeah, I don't understand that line, but like I know what he's doing, but that line is weird.
I mean, it's just like, oops, open the wrong door, like kind of trying to play that just stumbling around card, but he gets stopped by Shirka and slapped with the staff. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. She like uses vines to like pull him up and just bonks him a few times or something. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Let's hang him here till morning. But now it's Behelit question time with Flora. So
this makes sense. You finally have somebody who is talking to you and telling you things that you wanted to know. Fucking ask it all, man. Like, what is this thing?
It's like, what is with these? I keep running into him and trouble's there. And it's like, okay.
Wouldn't it be funny if she was like, you have one of those and then ran away, though? It's just like, God damn it. Maybe we were finally gonna get some answers. She doesn't actually say anything new about this. She's like, yeah, this is like a totem of extreme power, essentially.
Well, we do get this. It's a key that links a deep layer of the astral world to the physical world. So it's kind of like what we just got explained about how crazy and wild that stuff gets. This is kind of an easy way to bring that up. It's a fetish for summoning the 5 angels.
Yeah.
So it's pretty straightforward answer. And then he kind of is like, hey, how do you use this? And it's like, well, you kind of can't. Like, it's either for you or it isn't. If it's for you, it'll happen. So there's no way to invoke it, kind of.
So I have a theory, and okay. So what do you know about Berserk just from like general people have talked about it, or you've seen some artwork or something?
Oh, us reading it now and from software video games? Like, I don't know, not much.
Have you seen the fact that he gets like another form of some sort? Eventually?
Guts does?
Yeah.
No, I don't know that.
Well, not another form, but he gets like an upgrade of some sort, and I've seen it in like fan art.
It's a sword leg or something? Whoa.
No, not quite that.
Okay.
But anyways, what I think is that this Behelit actually is his, and that's what he uses to get that or whatever. That's what I'm thinking.
That next level or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. That's my theory. That like after all of this, that was the one that came to him, even though he like found it fighting. What was that? The Baron at the beginning. That's this Behelit, right?
I think so. Yeah, it's been with us for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not Crimson though, so he's not going to be that level. But
no.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my thought, is that from what I've seen in like fan art or like wallpapers and stuff like that, I think this is somehow how he does that thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. It's a couple pages later where she talks about how it can't be. Like, you think this is something that can be used if only you find the means, but it is not. It's sort of this stuff really reminds me of kind of the One Ring or whatever. Like, it'll find you. It has a will of its own kind of thing. Sort of like the Crimson one and Griffith. It's like, yeah, there's no real governing these things.
And it's used when it needs to be, when it does.
I still don't really get what the role of the Nameless one was or whatever. Like, the guy that was a Behelit. Like, it was like,
Oh, yeah.
Like, was he making these or something? It's like, no, I think these predate that guy, and these are just always been a key somehow. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess these are just bleeding in from that realm or whatever. Like, these are somewhat living things from that place, and then you can, activate the dark sign and invade other worlds, I guess, is kind of what's going on.
Yeah.
But only when it's time. So, yeah.
Yeah. I hope we learn more about that, because that stuff is supremely interesting to me. But yes, this is where she kind of reads that, like, there's something more than just, like, hatred in him. Like, it's so intense or whatever, and that's what has obviously kept him alive, even though he's been branded for death this whole time, and been able to, like, protect her or whatever. Yeah, that's kind of where all this is starting to come out. And we got reminded Puck has a weird affinity for the Behelit because they shared the same room or whatever.
Don't go carrying my Betchy around. Yeah, he's got a pet name for it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
But yeah, I guess yeah, Guts is kind of frustrated. God only knows, huh? I can't stand that. But
yeah.
Okay, brr. The God Hand, what are they? It's one of the great mysteries. It's a mystery.
They were once human, though, is something that she knows. So that's kind of interesting. They're not like an everlasting. They definitely had a start, which means they probably will have an end at some point. The God Hand. I know what I do know is they were once human, and that as reincarnations, they are the executors of the will of something lurking in the distant abyss of the astral world. Perhaps in that domain it's unattainable for one to arrive as a person clad in an ethereal body called ego. So they are essentially just the lieutenants of, like, some dark abyss god of some sort. Yeah. But they are not it. Which we kind of assumed, but this is just more like, yeah, they're not actual, like, the God Hand. The God Hand are not the gods, essentially. They're
his agents or
they
something.
are agents of some sort. Yeah.
Shirka's like, hey, do you intend to defy angels and demons? You got it. I'll have to hit him where it hurts. Like, he's such a action hero quote man here, but yeah.
You got it.
Gonna punch that god right in the face. Yeah, so, but yeah. Shirka's still apprehensive, I guess, about this weird posse she's gonna roll with. But the Hawk is dreadful. He's the Hawk of Darkness, and she knows that. She's
the Hawk of Light is the Hawk of Darkness.
The Midland people are getting fleeced a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm seeing if there's anything more here. Oh, she kind of doesn't want to go on this journey or whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, the gist of their talk is, you don't, like, have to, but I will tell you that, like, it's kind of your destiny to. Like, you're kind of supposed to do this or whatever.
Like, you can choose, but you really kind of recommend it. You're supposed to witness this. So, yeah. And then we get this fleeting appearance of Shirka has, like, spectacles she wears to do fine detail work in this talisman she's drawing with purification salt.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty good. Just, like, classic either scholar glasses, or sometimes I see it, like, on an owl or something. If there's, like, an owl teaching something. That
like
type
wisdom +3 or something when you wear them.
Totally, but,
yeah, so she's putting on these, like, this is them kind of gearing up or whatever, right? Like, this is talismans and new weapons and stuff. This is probably also why I really thought about Lord of the Rings, because it's like, hey, Frodo, here's this mithril shirt for you. You're going to want this. This sword glows blue when there's trouble nearby. Like, that kind of stuff. Like, here,
and I shall call it Sting moment. or whatever.
Oh,
yeah.
Boromir's horn or whatever. Like all these kind of special items. Or like Galadriel gives them special stuff too.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of like that. They have all these sick magic fetishes that kind of have different elementals associated with them.
Yeah.
And that's going to become pretty important in the troll battle.
In the troll war. Yeah.
But yeah, this is total fantasy epic, like first reciproco, this hood and sword.
He gets the best stuff that we've seen so far. Like,
kind of
stuff is sick. Yeah.
Or at least he meshes perfectly with it as like a fighting style or whatever. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
But so these items are kind of covered in these tiny winged insects is what they appear to look like. They're wind elementals, sylphs.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you kind of have to believe in their power, and the more you believe, the better it is, or something. Like the more active, like the kinship between you and these things. Okay. Sorry, I'm just distracted by Puck's dumb joke here. I'm not a chestnut head. What?
God damn it. It's such a moment of like, switch out that white item for this blue one that you get from finishing the last quest or whatever.
Or you get some sick perps or whatever. Yeah, like this is the best gear they've gotten thus far.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
the cloak and the
catty
sword. Yeah. The sword, which also you're like wield like a sword, but it can tear the enemy's flesh without even touching it. It generates wind powers essentially, and he kind of demonstrates that by cutting a light or whatever. Like there's a candle, he blows it out or whatever, and it's also.
And honestly, this kind of reminded me of like old Legend of Zelda games when you have like full hearts, you can kind of send out a beam of energy from your sword. Like it's kind of like you just cut and then wind power continues past where he's sliced. So pretty cool. And then you got Ilvera or whatever talking more about earth, water, wind, and fire, like the elements we all know from
the four states inherent to our world: solid, liquid, vapor, and energy, resonant with the workings of elementals in the astral world: earth, water, wind, and fire. So that's kind of how the two mesh, apparently.
Okay, what is the other? Okay, so fire lizards. We got kind of salamanders. For this fire dagger that Istro
that makes
gets.
sense. That's cute.
He also gets a little bag of throwables, right?
He gets the berries that she threw at the trolls that forced them away.
Oh,
during the first encounter. Yeah.
Okay. He was pretty struck by how cool the wind stuff is, though, so he's a little bitter. But, yeah. So Farnese and Casca get silver chain shirts, and Farnese gets a knife. They don't trust Elaine with sharp things.
Of course.
In her state. Yeah. But these silver things are useful. And then, they totally have something for Guts, but he's just like, nah, I'm okay.
That annoyed me a little bit. Like, I get it. But so, okay. This is a trope I love and hate. So I've watched a lot of Naruto, and I kind of hate that show. But the thing I like about it is that I like the trope of whenever there's a big thing happening where there's a bunch of gods, there's a dude who just worked hard, and he's like somehow on the equivalent level. So like Rock Lee is the stupidest looking character ever drawn in anime, probably. But his whole shtick is like, oh, they all know like ninjutsu that control the elements or powers of some sort. They're basically mutants. And his thing is that he just like punched a tree stump over and over until he became so hardened that he's like just incredibly superhuman at fighting. So he's like not on the same level as these people.
He trained with like weights on his legs, and now
every day
he's like so fast. Yeah,
it's such a stupid trope, but I love it, where Guts is just like, nah, I don't need no stinking elementals. I got iron.
I guess One Punch Man is kind of like, I just did 1,000 crunches every day or whatever. It's like, what? Yeah, every day. And now I can punch a god in the nose and kill it. It's like, that's real stupid, but okay. But he does have some point here where it's just like, I want to take into battle my hand knows best. Like
Totally.
it's just like I know how I wield this thing. I've been fighting with it for a long, long time. I would even go back to like when he was a kid fighting with like an adult sword. Like he's always had this kind of oversized thing. It would be weird to suddenly go into battle with like an axe that he's never used before, even if it has magic powers.
Like a normal broadsword to him is like a throwing knife to normal people. He can just toss them.
Mm-hmm. Like, or our Fire Emblem thing. Like, he's always been a sword wielder. You don't give Dorcas a sword. That's dumb. It wouldn't work. He can't equip it. So it's like that.
Prediction time between you and me. Yeah. At some point, does he wield that axe? I'm going to say yes. He picks it up at some point. Well, they
still have it here. Do they get into what element it is? I don't think she even gets to say.
No.
So, yeah, is it an ice axe? Is it...
The element is anger. Oh, perfect.
It's earth. Yeah, this perfectly complements your thing. If you go berserk, so will this axe, so it'll really work out.
Yeah, the axe just starts like whirling around all crazy like by itself.
I'm not sure because they super downplay this axe. Like, it doesn't even seem like cool enough to step in later, you know? But I don't know. You never know. Maybe he'll dual wield at some point.
So, elemental wise, I kind of thought maybe he would be fire, but he's probably earth, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Strong, like sturdy, stoic, like.
Yeah, I might do that. Wait, what is Shirka doing here? There's just this, like, her eyes over the sword. It's just, what? And then, okay. Like, I guess she's so befuddled that you turn down magic weaponry. Yeah.
Okay, that's how I read it. Do you think she senses something in it herself? Is that
maybe the sword does have something going on?
Because is that the first time she's seen it? Because right before that, there's, like, a picture of her eye, and then... there's like the sword kind of just barely visible under his cloak, and there's the shimmer sound effect on it. And then that's what she's like, what? Or whatever.
Well, there's a little twinkle under her eye too, like the kind of, so like maybe the
metal was made out of like a special metal or something, like,
or it being in proximity to all this stuff, something's happened to it. I don't know. It's hard to say.
It encapsulated the rage earth.
It's been soaking up that rage. I don't know.
It's going berserk.
Or all that like ethereal blood that's been on it. It's been imbued it with something. I have no idea.
Yeah, Berserk is actually the name of the sword.
Yeah, well, they'll get into that later. But,
yeah,
it's a sick weapon though. We've seen it do all sorts of stuff. So
totally,
I get why he's doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of getting dinged up, and Goto's dead. So hopefully it's built to last. I don't know.
Yeah.
But okay. All right. Yeah. Party's heading out. I'm not really sure what to get into here. Elementals are seeing you off. There's more golem fun. They're stumbling about.
Yeah. Yeah. No. They head off. There's like some talking here. Nothing too important. They get into like, can Casca stay here, or like Casca can stay with us or whatever. And Guts is like, nah, I want her. Like within reach. I'm not leaving her, sort of thing. It's like, okay, cool. Well, let's go.
I guess we have Shirka silently judging her companions here. Just like, ugh, what a nuisance to like Farnese. Because it's just like, what am I going to do? It's like, look after Casca. So yeah, she feels sort of saddled with these weirdos. But, what's this extra thing here? Sorry, Flora's outside. And then there's a little and there's a shadow.
There's a shadow. Yeah. Ganon comes and visits her.
Yeah.
And I think the fun thing is that she's not scared. She's just like, oh, you're here. Why didn't you come say hi or whatever?
Oh, Skull Knight, you goof. You're so bashful.
Skull Knight is... Flora and Skull Knight know each other, apparently. She calls him old friend.
I imagine, like, she looks like 80 or whatever, but she's probably really old because magic. So
yeah,
I'm thinking
hundreds, thousands of years, somewhere in there. Hundreds, probably, at least.
Maybe I would think when Old Man Morgan was a kid, she still looked similar to this kind of thing. Like, she's probably been around for, I'm going to say, several centuries at least. That's just how it works when you're magical.
There's some kind of, like, not telling, but, like, important stuff brought here. Pity for a fellow sufferer, or are you just using him? I want to believe the heart of a man still remains within you. And then, of course, Skull Knight's whole thing, like all of the fucking demons, causality. It's like, yeah, okay. You have nothing important to add to this conversation, I guess.
It's like, oh, sure, sips your tea. Like, you're always saying that. The fate called encounters, and
I thought that was cute.
Stoked.
I thought that was a cool line. God bestows upon us the fate called encounters. That's neat.
And this is a total, like, the Fellowship heading off kind of panel here. You get all of them with their new kit.
Yep.
So, yeah. And now it's time for Enoch Village.
Yes, the village where the troll attacks are happening, and we kind of start off everything with the troll attack, where dude is being brutally eaten in his own barn while some woman is screaming, "Get off him!"
I think it's her new husband is getting assaulted here by a troll, and she's the only one that kind of steps up and breaks a pickaxe on its head. So now it rapes her as it does. Raping time. Yeah, or at least the beginnings of it, which makes her brother step in and stab it in the nose. And then, as we learned earlier, where there's one troll, there's like 20. So I honestly thought this whole village was going to die. After this bit, I was like,
totally.
Well, great. You kick the hornet's nest, you kick the troll barn. It's just done now. But I guess they managed to get away with, like, just this tragic family died. Like, these 3 people got horribly killed. But we jump away. We jump to elsewhere.
Well, it's a time jump because we jump to them having the funeral for the corpses.
Oh, okay. This is the same village. Sorry. I thought, I think even when this first happened, I was like, oh, Griffith check-in time, or what is this? But no,
sure.
It's not. It's coffins and Old Man Morgan returning and people getting
the gongs
kind of
of the church
shitty.
Bells indicating that there's a death, I guess, going on. They're doing a funeral essentially when the crew with Morgan come back in. Trying to see if there's anything worth talking about. Oh, something we didn't really bring up that they were talking about is that there was a time when human beings kind of like were more in tune with their astral selves or whatever. So, like, I don't know, there were temple to the elementals and people were kind of chill with that idea, and like death maybe wasn't so scary and blah, blah, blah. And then the Holy See kind of started ruining everything by religious doctrines, and people became less in tune with their astral selves. So, like, death was like more...
Oh, Did Flora spell that out already?
Yeah.
Or is this run-in here with the priest and stuff? Okay.
No, the run-in with the priest reminded me of it, but I'm just going to
we kind of see that tension or whatever between the ancient, like, druidic ways or whatever of long ago, and then organized religion kind of making all that stuff boring or whatever, codifying that stuff and kind of taking the luster out of it.
I'm going to quickly you can stay where you are. I just quickly backpedaled. Many people over the ages recognize this fact as reality, and because their worldview continues to be passed down, we are able to perceive, see, and touch these little ones. They're talking about inhabitants of the astral world. Long ago, it was quite natural to believe in the existence of elves. The spread of the doctrine of the Holy See, of one universal worldview, those who can see them have dwindled, so many of the elves who can no longer interact with humans have faded away into some place in the astral world. The Holy See and religion in general kind of started making it more black and white, like, no, this is the right way to do stuff, and kind of closing people's minds to the fact that it was harder to see trolls and fairies and all that sort of thing, piercing the veil, as it were. So I just backtracked. So, because that's important, because we get kind of a shit-eating priest that is maybe the main antagonist, besides, like, the trolls in this whole next
he's
thing.
Kind of the, stick in the mud or whatever. Like, he's not as bad as our, what was dude's name? Giant block-faced man.
Farnese. No, like, all of the Holy See is way worse than he is, by far.
No,
but,
like the God Breath, all those guys, the torturers. Like, we've seen some wild religious figures already. Like, this is not that. This is just kind of, your pastor being a bit out of touch with the times or something. Like, this is, he's got a stern look on his face. He's kind of holding things back, second guessing a lot of this stuff, but the situation is desperate enough with these trolls that this plan will probably still go ahead anyway, but he's gonna be some trouble. But yeah, so Old Man Morgan's quest is sort of successful, though he's the only one that survived, so there's already kind of like, oh man, we're in a desperate way here. And then the elves are initially a feather in the cap. It's just like, oh wow, magical stuff, like this might actually work. And there's that really big dude back there that looks promising. So one of these ladies here is the witch, and it's like, no, it's this little kid. Look at her, isn't she cute? She's got a hat and everything. It's like, oh, what are you doing? A little
that's
kid
the moment
witch.
where they're just like, you know what, we're fucked.
This is dumb. And then Isidore's kind of like, hey, just, shoot some magic and prove it. It's like, I can't do that. That's so disrespectful. I can't believe you. Using magic to satisfy one's own vanity. I don't know. I like how serious about her discipline Shirka is. And then we get the priest to step in at this moment of seeming weakness with this plan to nitpick it a little bit. This is a test given by God to this village. But the chief of the village is kind of saying like, hey, this is big man here. He looks pretty powerful. You know, we're pretty shorthanded. We could sure use some. No, this is no good. We just need to be super faithful and God will help us out. And then Farnese is kind of hearing this and going like, yeah, wow. This is great stuff as someone who used to be in religion and is out now. I think I'm really vibing with Farnese's whole path here. I was like, no, I was super in, son of a pastor, my uncle's a pastor, super all the way, 12 years of Christian schooling. And it's like, oh, this is all garbage coming out the other side. So yeah, Farnese's had her thing here where she's cut her hair and she's on the other side of it. She's still not really willing to step up and talk it through. Sorry, I just switched to our comic relief character Elaine pulling some great goofs here at the funeral. Yeah,
by that great gag of falling into the casket.
Oops, fell into the open grave.
Yep.
Ooh, glue.
I got you. Yeah.
Yep.
That's our Elaine.
Super negotiator, making us look real good to this village at this extremely tragic funeral with the trolls.
It is kind of interesting that they all are kind of like, why don't you use some magic, prove that we're actually what we say we are.
We're real deal.
Farnese is having a thing where I could drop some names of higher ups or whatever. It's like, that's such a bad idea. Nobody has a plan here. And then Guts is just like, listen, we're pilgrims. You're a religious guy. Don't you owe us a safe night or whatever in a tavern? We'll go in the morning sort of thing. He's the one that's like, I have
using
an idea.
It against them a little bit. Yeah. It's like, no, she's a religious pilgrim. Don't you show charity anymore?
It's customary that the church shows charity to pilgrims. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's a loophole we have. Dang it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I guess we'll let these hurricane victims stay in our super church.
Oh, no.
Yeah. That was in Houston. It was super screwed up.
No, I know.
Joel Osteen, what are you doing? Anyway. So this is Joel Osteen here, basically. He's kind of pulling that. I don't know if he can pop the smile quite in the same way, but we'll see.
It's funny
later.
because I know one of the listeners that listens every week lives in Houston, so shout out to you, Houstonites.
Dude, there was a hurricane and it's as big as it was used to be a basketball stadium. I don't know, whatever. Okay,
so yes, they're given a room at least for the night because pilgrimage or whatever, and we get Shirke comes up with a plan. She wants everybody to tie some hair around their fingers because she's going to use thought transference.
This is kind of cool because I don't know if this was what was happening with that kind of minion of Griffith's or whatever during that battle. You kind of had her being all wide-eyed and kind of surveying the battlefield, and you kind of got the sense this might be happening.
Yeah.
But they didn't spell out. It's like, all right, so yeah, tie these hairs on each of you, and then we can all kind of telecommunicate stuff. So, which is great. I mean, this is sort of, Man, I'd honestly almost prefer a video game like Fire Emblem say this is happening. Like any game with kind of a god mode like perspective or whatever on the scene, it's just like, oh yeah, it's because Kraz here, our tactician, is magical.
Kraz.
He can communicate to all of you with his mind. That's why he's so good at this. It's like, oh, okay, because magic exists in this world.
I think I'm just gonna read what it says here because it's cool. This makes use of a technique called contagious magic, in which part of the subject is used every time the spell is cast. To a certain extent, every human is capable of directly exchanging thoughts. Just for that, it is necessary to connect their spiritual magnetism. With those hairs attached to you, your odd fields are subconsciously adhered to mine. Further, for those who lack in training of concrete visualization of images, thoughts, before they are given form, via letters and words, are vague and inconstant. Until you are accustomed, please sound out the words distinctly in your mind. If you master thought transference, the communication of intent far beyond that of normal conversation becomes possible. So I like this idea that like everybody can do this, but you guys need help. So here's something that like will concentrate on my like spiritual magnetism or whatever, so that when you are trying to like confer with me or I'm conferring with you, it's easier. And you're gonna suck. Please try your hardest to pronounce things properly in your mind. It's like, that's pretty great.
Yeah, it's kind of amplifying this latent ability, it sounds like. And then you need to like very clearly be like, trolls at the south entrance or something. Like, think that, and then it'll go out clearly, instead of just like, I'm getting some murky stuff from Isidro. What's going on? You know, like you need to sharply think about it.
I like this idea too, that like, when we master this, if you master this, we'll be able to communicate through thoughts and feelings, like instead of words even. Like I'll be able, and we kind of get that, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, we kind of get that later where she is like feeling out the mind of one of the party members to see if they're okay. Like, I just think this is so dope.
Part of me was also really hoping this thought transference stuff will help Casca / Elaine like start to organize her brain again with like receiving and sending like information and whatever. Like maybe this will get her back, but I'm always hoping that. So I don't know.
Totally.
But so all of this stuff's going to be relayed back to Shirka, and then she's going to kind of translate that and send it out to the whole party if something's important. She's also going to have a high vantage point on top of the church, as we're going to see later, is kind of her part of the battle.
Right.
Okay. Now we get into this thing I was talking about with Isidro and Old Man Morgan kind of having a similar tale in their past or whatever, and Isidro being kind of crappy about it, but I think Old Man Morgan sort of understanding his rebellious nature in a way that's kind of neat. So, yeah.
He runs off because he's like, who put you in charge, little Miss Nosy or whatever? Like, he's having a real problem with her kind of taking the reins because she's new or whatever. She's also a kid.
She's new and like maybe slightly older, but maybe the same age, maybe younger than him, and she's already like
getting respect. Yeah, exactly. So he runs away, kind of pouting, and starts just swinging his sword around,
and like runs off.
Yeah,
yeah. So he's practicing or whatever, but he's kind of just swinging his sword angrily next to a river, and then Morgan comes up to just be nice. Like, I'm just gonna catch some fish for you guys. Man, this is a crappy village you got here. It's real dirt heap. Yeah, well, you know, it's where I grew up and stuff. It's just get kind of attached to it. Time goes by, you know. It's like, not with me. I'm the best. Like, yeah, it's just real brash kid. But then you get a little bit of him kind of admiring Guts in his own way, but still like through the lens of like, yeah, I'm gonna steal that guy's moves.
The image he has, or where he's like talking about Guts, where he's like, I get chills down my spine watching him fight under the moonlight, and it's just like this amazingly drawn thing that I want on like a shirt or something of like the moon behind Guts's cape as it's like flowing and he's swinging the giant sword.
His tattered cape and the full moon, and
it's so good.
He's a beast. You
sure
admire him.
Eats monsters.
But yeah, you sure admire him. Nah, I don't like that word. I'm using him.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, what is this exchange here? Oh, you got family? Who cares about that? Yeah, I forget if... I think we're about to get into, like, him having run away, or was that earlier already? We've seen kind of that.
Well, we definitely know
flash.
he's a runaway, but, like, yeah, we don't really know anything about that, really. And I don't think we learned anything more here, necessarily, but I don't remember.
But I feel I've seen a panel already where it's, like... someone calling out to him and like Isidro just running off into the darkness. Like he just kind of abandoned his village. Like it was crummy too, and he just kind of ditched it. Whereas this is a crummy village, but Morgan has stayed here the whole time. But yeah, he starts getting into this kind of brother's quest I was talking about, where his mother was ill. He was kind of a dreamer or whatever. He'd look out into the forest and decided it was worth the risk to go try to get medicine. And it felt kind of surreal and stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he succeeded in his quest, but then he kind of triggers him here by accident. What is it? She waited for me though, deep inside the forest, unchanged as she used to be. That alone was enough for me. Like kind of this like full circle thing of like, I got to see the witch again. It was super like long-term payoff for my whole life or whatever. And then Isidro's like, rah, enough with the crappy story. Like, I love talk about the good old depressing days. Now's a time for the
young.
Yeah. That's what the kids are always saying. Your time's over, old man. Now it's time for the young. You grow ancient in this rustic little village, holding on to your pretty little dream. But yeah, I just feel like this is him projecting so hard because it's like, I ran away from my sick mom. I couldn't deal with it or something. Like might be in his past, and he's super aggro over this. But I appreciate Morgan's just like, yeah, kids. Like he's not actually that thrown.
No.
If I need to listen to any murder stories, my ambition's going to grow mold. See ya.
That's pretty good. That's a good line.
See ya. Yeah.
Yeah, he just runs off. Fucking... There's definitely some weird brokenness to Isidro we haven't explored in this yet that I can't wait and hope they do at some point.
But this is starting to needle at it, I guess. Like this kind of seeing him old, basically, or like someone similar.
Like an old
kind of
version
freaking
of
him out. Yeah. I feel like I've sort of had that. Like when I worked at Co-op, honestly, there was this guy who's like, yeah, this guy's worked here for like 40 years. And I was like, oh my God, I have to get out of here. I can't become that guy. That's too scary. It's like, if I get too happy here in the produce department, I'm just going to be like, oh no, my life. And I'll have spent my entire life there.
Also had something similar working at a gas station. This guy that would come in and relieve me was like, I don't know, he kind of looked like one of the like Howard Clint brothers or something. One of the like, and he was like old, kind of rotund or whatever, and took the bus. And he's like one of those lifers, like, yeah, I've been working different gas stations for about 25 years now, sort of thing, and just like thinking,
like, oh,
I need
somehow
to find anything.
Existential horror at that. Yeah, it's. It's like, no, it's super stable, ride it out. It's like, I don't know. As a 17-year-old, that was like freaky, like at my first job or whatever. So
totally, yeah.
I sort of see where Isidro's coming from.
Yeah.
But okay, so now we get Shirka kind of scouting out.
Surveying.
Oh, this was a little sad, yeah. Like where the kids are kind of trained to be scared of witches, so they start throwing rocks at her.
Yeah, the priest told us witches and trolls are the same.
Go away, witch. Go back to the forest. It's just like, man, okay. She's just kind of like hiding behind her cloak or whatever. Nothing really happens except Gut steps in and freaks them out. Like, oh crap, a heavy, and then they're gone. Like they run it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Whereas Ilvera or whatever was saying like, hey, just blow them away. Blast them with magic.
Just kill them,
Just kill those kids, just like Elisha or whatever.
Just like the worst conscience ever.
Yeah. Whole place has been ransacked, I guess, by the trolls. So yeah, they're surveying the scene. This really is a rundown village, and with the way the battle goes, I really felt bad for this village, but we'll get there. Yeah. I hope they survive this housing crash, I guess.
Yeah.
But okay. I think every human in this world that all of them are mistaken. What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is like a fundamental difference of religion and perspective, I guess, is kind of what she's alluding to.
Yeah, I mean, she explains, like, right away in the next thing. This hill upon which the church is built, it used to be a shrine to the spirits of this land. Many of the Holy See's churches are that way, literally crushing the sacred places of the spirit faith where they were built. This is where we get more into, like, yo, mages hate religion because they kind of ruined a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that co-opting of all the ancient stuff with, like, Christmas and whatever. Like, these are like, oh, this is an ancient thing that predates your thing, but you just kind of plastered over it, like, paved over the old thing. And like, no, we were always doing this.
And then the annoying thing for them is, like, they, like, come to us because we have the power that they seek to save themselves, even though, like, it was theirs at some point as well.
Man, yeah. I used to love the, like, Peanuts Christmas special, but it's the most condescending stuff ever now. It's just like, oh, the true meaning of Christmas. Yeah, it's this. It's like Jesus' birthday. It's like, it's not, though. That was, like, years later. That was way later. And months later in the year. That isn't even when it happened, but it's like, whatever. We were just gonna co-opt this holiday.
Listen, we needed a day at the end of the Roman Catholic year calendar year. All right, we needed a day to not work and to get pumpkin spice
lattes.
I
agree. It's like, hey, it's the time of the year when it's the darkest. It's a really sad time, so we should hang out and, like, have a good time. Like, it's a good idea inherently, but that it's kind of been re-articulated as, like, no, they're trying to cut Christ out of Christmas on my coffee cup or whatever. It's just like, what? That's not what it was about. Coffee predates that. No, I'm just making that up. I'm just lying. But it's like this. It's like, you know, there was an ancient coffee god, and then they built this church over it. And we're actually going to meet the spirit who kind of got overlooked for all this time in a pretty cool way as this goes on.
Also, but she just hates that they drove, like, her mistress into the forest and kind of forgot about her, even though she spent so long helping their sick and, like, keeping bad things at bay or whatever. And, like, I don't know. There's a lot of baggage here. To which Guts just says, then stop. Who cares?
Just quit. Just whatever. It's like, I'm only really doing this because she told me to. It's like, well, just don't worry about it. And she's so, like, it's like, what? Like, she's like a good student or whatever. She always does the assignment. So, yeah, this is a tempting notion maybe, but it really...
That old lady's going to die soon, too. All the more reason. Like, that's kind of fucked up.
What is this? What do you expect? She really is a kid, you know? Oh, okay, this is... Yeah, you just see this major, like, perspiration and angry look. What an ill-mannered, insincere person.
Well, because Guts says, someone tells you to do something, you don't want to, but you do it anyways. That's why she's like, she is a kid. Like,
that's a fool's errand. Like, what are you doing? So, really being blunt with the kid.
Yeah.
But okay.
It's pretty great,
then cut to some Elaine here.
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, this is the hair being tied on, probably, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And
troll slaying, this whole journey.
This is Serpico kind of, like, noticing that Varnese is not the same as she used to be, but she's kind of, like, being more of a human, like, than she ever has, maybe. Like, she's being a normal human being. She's helping somebody else. There's a smile on her face. Like, yeah, that she's being changed. One thing he couldn't do, he says.
Well, she was kind of in a weird, like, you know, she's a rich kid from the outset, and then she was in this, like, sort of ceremonial position in the church where she's, like, above everybody and has people under her. Like, this is her kind of, like, down to earth for the first time. So, yeah, it's sort of helping her grow, which is cool. Yeah. I don't know.
Sure.
These characters are working out. And then, I don't know. Yeah, we just got Serpico kind of holding his sword here and thinking about how things have changed. Oh, but then they're here. It's happening.
Yeah,
Trolls.
like a storm is a brewing or something. I can't really tell if that's what is supposed to be going on here or if that's like them feeling
the caption of this kanji is view. So I think it's maybe partially
the sound of the army.
No, there is a big rainstorm during it, but it's also kind of the thought transference happening.
Maybe.
The alarm bells going off between all of them. And then, so they get the inclination shortly before the town watchtower sees it. So they spring into action, and then we just get a whole mess of trolls. So many trolls. Like gremlins. Number of trolls.
Yep.
And yeah, the village is starting to freak out. Everybody to the church. And it's going to leave off here pretty much, right? Oh, we get a little bit of run-in with the trolls.
Yeah, because they've already started storming the street. So this isn't like the orcs at like Helm's Deep or something marching in. They're fucking just pouring in like water
out
or
of
something.
The forest,
they're running.
Yeah.
So there's like a few scenes of them just kind of jumping people from alleyways or whatever as people are leaving their houses. And that's where Serpico gets to try out his new toy. And misses initially. He like cuts one of their ears or something. Instead of like cutting them with the wind power, because the troll just kind of looks at him and like awkwardly.
Yeah, I guess it sort of draws its attention, but it doesn't really do anything. So he has to kind of focus on the spirits,
like a sharp breeze or something. Yeah, instead of like focusing. But this is the first time we see him use it, and we got that like cool panel of him like swiping the sword and them just being like their fur or whatever being pushed back by this obvious gust that's come from him, and that's where the volume ends off. And it's
I am depending upon you, spirits. Yeah, that's it. So troll battle is beginning, but that'll be next time.
That'll be next time. This was a long episode because there was a lot of talking about astral realms in this and magic.
Yeah, it's explaining some mechanics that are going to become important in this battle, and then also, setting the stage for trolls. And also weirdly triggering grouchy things about religion for me. So, yeah. But we have an email.
We do have an email. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote in at ihavegoneberserk@gmail.com. And he says, this is Antonio writes in and says, now that we're a bit deep into Berserk, what would you say is your favorite comic relief character or moment so far?
I mean, Elaine's dropping some hilarious bits with like falling on coffins and stuff.
And going, ow, about everything.
Yeah, I still feel bad that she's in that state, so it's probably not that.
Right.
Man, I think I still like the bit where Puck tries to just get in on that game with like Rosaline's fairy buddies, and then there's kind of a like record scratch moment where they're like, "What? Who are you?" And he kind of like goes, "Oh," like he can't help himself, trying to get in on their dodgeball game or whatever. That was
the thing about that bit that makes it so good is that there's a caption there saying like he's doing this certain dance, and then a caption on that caption saying that is a dance made famous by some Japanese comedian or something.
It's like this like super deep cut thing to us. It's just like, oh, that famous bit, like the walk or whatever that this comedian would do. And it's like, I don't know. Like, I guess that would be like, oh, like Andy would do on Conan. And it's like, why would I know that if I live in Japan? Like, that's not common knowledge. But yeah, like
that's a good
probably
one.
Still Puck though. Like early on, him paired with Isidro's pretty good, but it's a lot. I don't know.
It's probably Puck for sure, of some sort. And
he's
you're right. That's
tag
one of the
team
best
with
ones.
Isidro at this point. I'm trying to think who else is really well. Okay, is Nina a comic relief character? Because that whole arc was really funny. Like how deep into stupid trouble she was getting. Or just like, how
pathetic
how can I chicken out here? Like, how can I betray everyone again? Like that stuff was head shakingly, like, you know, amusing at times.
Like, how pathetic can one person be, sort of thing.
How cowardly, like, just the, like, patron saint of cowardice is Nina.
The answer is extremely, apparently. Extremely pathetic and cowardly.
All the time. Like, even in the most insane situations, just like, you're on top of this wall surrounded by, like, blob monster demon things that are eating thousands of people. But it's just like, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna run. It's just like, what? Like, you're obviously with the best possible team to stay alive through this. But still just looking to high heel it. Oh, it's great. So it's so stupid.
It's not really comic relief. I really love that every time, like, there's a big thing going on and Gus shows up, he's just like, yo. Just like, yo, as, like, his greeting.
Guts is hilarious. Yeah, he's such a deadpan delivery on all of his comic
I mean, I like that kind of, like, delivery, though. Like, I like the fact that Shiraki's having, like, this existential crisis about how she's helping out the very people that, like, drove her kind.
Call it quits.
Yeah, just quit, leave. Idiot. Lol. She's like
we don't need your help.
She's like a stream chatter or something. It's just like, just be better, lol. Like, so stupid. He's pretty great. He's pretty great.
Yeah, his bluntness is definitely pretty fun. Who's that, like, idiot that we all like to joke about from, like, the Band of the Hawk? Like, the kind of dirtbag guy.
Oh, Corcus? Like, Corcus has never been fun. Fuck Corcus.
I guess he's not quite comic relief, but he seems there as just this kind of, like, obvious heel or whatever for the Band of the Hawk. Sure. It's just like, hey, I never thought you were cool. And then his weird death with, like, the demon, like, naked demon thing. It's just, like, so weird. But
I know Ben's answer is homoerotic water fight between Guts and Griffith, because he likes bringing that up every highlight. Time. Yeah. He loves bringing that shit up.
So yeah, Nina probably is, but she's only in that one arc as far as I can tell. So the long running, like, most valuable is
it's Puck.
Yeah.
And you're right. Specifically the one where the joke was so niche that they had to have, like, double an English explanation on it is so good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So there you go. I have gone berserk at gmail.com is the address. And hopefully next week we'll have the 3-man show and we'll get into the troll battle.
Yes. And probably Ben's thoughts on magic in this world, because that seems... It would be kind of...
It's going to come up a lot there, too, yeah.
Yep. All right. Thanks for listening, and as always, keep on berserking, baby.
Yeah.
We got to find something to say to sign
Ernest
off.
Scared Stupid. Check it out. It's basically film
It's basically Berserk. Yep.
Of this next part. Yeah.
See you next time.